The bond between a father and daughter is usually one of love, but in Pennsylvania, a man systematically tortured and abused his 12-year-old daughter to death with the help of his girlfriend. Rendell Hoagland, a 52-year-old man, and his fiancée, Cindy Warren, aged 45, were recently charged with the death of his daughter Malinda after officials in West Caln found her barely alive with half a dozen of her bones broken. With her organs failing, Malinda ultimately died while she was being treated at the hospital. This is the twisted case of Rendell Hoagland and Cindy Warren. On Saturday, May 4th, the West Caln Police Department and the Westwood EMS responded to a 911 call from Rendell Hoagland, who reported that Malinda was unconscious and non-responsive. Shockingly, they found a 12-year-old girl who was broken and barely alive. Our investigation revealed that Rendell Hoagland and Cindy Warren subjected Malinda to evil and torment that no child should ever have to endure, and they did it for months. Malinda Hoagland was a young girl who lived with her biological dad, Rendell Hoagland, in Pennsylvania. Her mother's whereabouts are unknown. Records show that Malinda was born on July 4, 2012, and at the time of her death in 2024, a 9-year-old boy was also living with them. This boy in question isn't her biological brother, but we believe he might have been Cindy's son. It is also not known what caused the separation between Malinda's biological mother and her dad, but it seems she was left in the custody of Rendell after they split. Meanwhile, Rendell and Warren are avid Facebook users, and until last year, 2023, they shared images of Malinda as well as the 9-year-old boy whose name is Gavin. However, one time Malinda seemingly disappeared from all their social media handles for several months, while both couples kept on posting about Gavin. A few weeks before Malinda's tragic death, Rendell Hoagland posted images of Gavin at the movies, at a car racing event, and with the Cub Scouts. In a post dated March 16, 2024, Rendell wrote, "Gavin had a great day today at Cub Scouts. Took first place for the Bear Den level. He couldn't be more excited and proud. Congratulations, buddy." On the other hand, the last images he shared of Malinda were on January 5th, as she appeared to be opening Christmas presents with Gavin. But he wasn't the only one showing off Gavin on social media. Cindy Warren was doing the same. She frequently posted exclusive images of Gavin on Facebook, but only shared an image of Malinda once in December 2020. Malinda Hoagland attended several schools, including the Coatesville Area School District from spring 2022 through December 2023. Suspiciously, in December 2023, Malinda got pulled out of school and transferred to a home online cyber school run by Rendell Hoagland. What prompted this move is unclear, but the decision might have been a pointer to what was going on with the little girl. Malinda would show up on camera for lessons, but after class she was chained downstairs away from the camera's view. This inhumane treatment continued for months, with her health deteriorating as a result of the torture. No one knew what was going on inside the four walls of the building where Malinda lived until an unfortunate turn of events exposed everything. On Saturday, May 4th, 2024, at around 7:30 p.m., Rendell Hoagland picked up the phone to call 911 and report an emergency. Hoagland claimed Malinda hit a tree while riding her bicycle and lost consciousness. In a few minutes, the West Caln Police Department and Westwood EMS arrived at the scene. They immediately rushed Malinda to the nearby Paoli Hospital for treatment, and what the doctors found was shocking. Malinda suffered from malnutrition and was covered with bruises and broken bones. Not only that, 6 of her organs failed as she suffered from significant liver damage. Now, for a 12-year-old girl, the average weight is estimated to be between 68 and 136 pounds, according to CDC data. But Malinda had emaciated and weighed just 50 pounds. Doctors and hospital staff tried their best to treat her wounds and keep the little girl alive, but unfortunately, Malinda didn't survive. She died at 9:58 p.m., less than 3 hours after she was brought to the hospital. The investigation began as soon as the 911 call ended. Police slowly learned that Malinda had been pulled out of middle school in late November and early December and shifted to an online cyber school. They reviewed cell phones used by Rendell Hoagland and Cindy Warren as part of the investigation. They noted that Cindy Warren had deleted a number of her text messages with Rendell. Investigators discovered that the couple deleted cell phone videos showing the extent of their abuse of Malinda, which included shackling the little girl in the basement of their home to an air hockey table and other furniture. Some of the videos from the home's camera system show that Malinda was ankle cuffed to furniture and verbally berated by the defendants through that in-camera speaker system. The videos show that they would punish her by demanding strenuous exercise such as squats and running in place while she was still shackled, and they showed she would be punished for slights by being denied food. Other videos reportedly show Malinda being forced to sleep on the floor while chained, with no pillow or blanket, and being told not to expect breakfast, lunch, or dinner. These videos started months ago. The punishments were seemingly systematic, and based on this and other evidence, we decided to charge the defendants with attempted murder. The couple also allegedly deleted their texts before calling 911, but recovered messages showed them discussing the girl's worsening condition. In one of their conversations, Warren tells Hoagland to run Malinda to the hospital instead of calling 911. 2 days later, on May 6, 2024, Malinda's dad and his fiancée Cindy were arrested. Both were charged with attempted criminal homicide, assault, and kidnapping, among other charges. They were arrested last night. Their bail was set this morning at $1 million cash. We are waiting for a variety of medical-related reviews and reports to be concluded, at which point we will decide whether to charge the defendants with the murder of Malinda. These reports can take weeks to obtain, and will determine whether those charges are warranted when we have a chance to thoroughly review all the evidence, because this is an ongoing investigation with respect to those potential charges. I'm not going to be taking any hypothetical questions about murder today, but in the following days and weeks, everyone is going to ask how this could happen to a 12-year-old in America. After their arrest on Monday, May 6th, police questioned the suspects about Malinda's wounds and poor health conditions. When asked about Malinda's injuries, the couple reportedly claimed they were from the bike accident and from getting accidentally struck by another child on a water slide. When asked about her emaciation, they claimed she had been steadily losing weight for months and were planning on taking her to a doctor over it. During its investigation, the district attorney of West Caln Police Department stated that Cindy Warren's 9-year-old son, Gavin, was also in the same house where Malinda lived but was treated well and visibly unharmed. An official statement released on May 8, 2024 by the district superintendent of Coatesville Area School, Ms. Van Voren, following Malinda's demise read, 12-year-old Melinda Hoagland was enrolled in our school district from spring 2022 through December 2023, when her family withdrew her from North Brandywine Middle School and enrolled her in another cyber charter school. Our staff diligently reported concerns about her welfare to the state agency that receives and manages concerns. Shortly thereafter, she was withdrawn from our schools. This news shakes our entire school community, and we are deeply saddened and upset by the horrific details of the abuse this child suffered. Counselors trained in grief and trauma support will be available at Kings Highway Elementary, Scott Middle School, and North Brandywine Middle School, the schools that Malinda attended in our district, for both staff and students who may need to speak with someone who would like support in processing this tragedy. We join collectively in mourning the life of this child. No matter the length of time a child is a student in our school district, every child matters deeply, and their welfare and well-being are critically important to us, she added. Ms. Voren also made it known to the public that the district was working on a plan to find a way to honor Malinda's life and would share any details in the future. Before the turn of these events, Chester County was a peaceful place. In fact, life for 12-year-olds like Malinda in the Pennsylvania district were typically filled with the rhythms of school, friendship, and family. For most children, the school was a central part of their day when they engaged in learning, socializing with peers, and exploring their interests through clubs and activities. Teachers, counselors, and other school staff played important roles in their development and well-being. And after school hours, many children participated in sports, hobbies, or community activities. They spent time outdoors playing games with friends or pursuing artistic and creative endeavors. Chester County provided children with safety and a conducive environment to thrive and explore. Regarding crime and violence, Chester County maintains a reputation for being relatively safe compared to larger urban areas. However, it was thrown into widespread panic and chaos following Malinda Hoagland's tragic story. Reports have it that Malinda might have been pulled out of school for one definite reason, and that's because teachers expressed concerns and started a call Childline. However, it seems, for reasons yet unknown, there was no follow-up to that, and Childline didn't do anything. Though this can't be clarified, the fact that there was no record of what they did, nor was there a case opened, just makes it more disappointing. A previous conviction of domestic violence would have probably salvaged the situation, because Rendell wouldn't have the chance to homeschool Malinda. Unfortunately, what looked like a little loophole in the Childline system gave them the unfair advantage of pulling Malinda out of school to attend a so-called home cyber school. As rightfully said by the Chester County DA, Malinda was secluded to be tortured and abused. I'm not going to be taking any hypothetical questions about murder today, but in the following days and weeks, everyone is going to ask how this could happen to a 12-year-old in America. I don't have any answers right now, but what I can say immediately is that Malinda seemingly had limited access, incredibly limited access, to the outside world from the moment that she was pulled from school. And what I can also say is that on Saturday night, when police and first responders truly encountered Malinda in a state where they could recognize something was wrong, they did everything in their power to save her. And while we wish that the 911 call had happened sooner, it's very clear that everyone rang every alarm in every direction to make sure that she was taken to the best place and that the best investigation could happen in an attempt to make sure that she could be safe. Now, while it is yet unknown how long Malinda's dad's girlfriend, Cindy Warren, has been living with them, what is known is the fact that the 45-year-old woman was previously married to McKinley Warren Jr. Back in January 2009, Cindy Warren, who was at the time 30 years old, was sentenced to 3 to 7 years in state prison after pleading guilty to endangering the welfare of her son, Isaiah, who was 5 years old at the time. A concerned neighbor's phone call led police in January 2007 to discover Isaiah, who had been physically abused by his father, McKinley Warren Jr., then aged 43. Mr. Warren Jr. pleaded guilty in December 2008 to both abusing Isaiah and causing a head injury that led to the December 2000 death of his daughter Jessica Bach, aged 2 years, and Isaiah's half-sister. He was then sentenced to 25 to 50 years in state prison for both crimes. However, at the court's final judgment in January 2009, Cindy Warren's friends and brother asked Monroe County Court Judge Margarita Worthington to show leniency. They described Cindy Warren as a kind, loving, fun mother who herself was abused by a controlling husband and whom no one would help. "Unless you've walked in Cindy's shoes, you can never understand what she's been through," said her friend Diane Silver. 3 times she was denied protection from abuse order for herself and her children. Whenever she called the police to her home, she would always be the one who ended up being taken away in handcuffs, not her husband. He knew how to twist the truth. The day she lost her children is the day her sentence started. Another friend, Natasha Ettinger, also voiced out in defense of Cindy. "I've known Cindy for 20 years. She was a very good mother, but when her husband was around, she had no voice. Nobody knows what she went through." Cindy Warren's older brother, Raymond Coons, also added, "Cindy has been a very loving person ever since she was a little girl. She's never done anything to take away my respect for her. She kept calling the authorities who did nothing until finally it took an outsider calling for them to do anything. Just being away from her husband is a good thing for her, but for her to now lose her freedom is unfair. She doesn't deserve this." However, Stroud Area Regional Police Captain William Parrish, who investigated both Jessica's death and Isaiah's abuse, struggled with tears as a parent himself when refuting certain statements made by Warren supporters. To say she did all she could to get the authorities involved is erroneous. At any time, she could have identified her husband as the one who caused her stepdaughter's death and abused her son, but she refused to do so. Instead, she lied to her husband about how Jessica got hurt and left it to a neighbor to report Isaiah's abuse. Whenever neighbors complained about her and her husband being drunk, loud, and boisterous, and we responded to their home, she would be the one who remained loud and disorderly while her husband calmed down, so she would be the one taken away. Judging from this story, it was clear Cindy not only had drinking problems, but was an accomplice to her husband's heinous crime. She lied to cover him, and this personality would haunt her afterward, even if she was actually innocent. Following the jail terms, Cindy Warren's marriage to McKinley Warren Jr. seemed to have ended, as she had moved on with her life and met Rendell Hoagland. That was the beginning of Malinda's troubles. Rendell Hoagland, on the other hand, never had any previous cases of child abuse or bad parenting. Everything seemed to be going fine before 2023. The disturbing news of Malinda Hoagland's death and the suffering she endured before dying from her injuries affected virtually everyone who heard the details. Christy and Heather Moorfield, who are sisters living in West Caln Township in Chester County, expressed their grievances over the tragedy. "My stomach just turned," said Christy Moorfield. Christy's niece and Heather Moorfield's daughter, Michaela, was a classmate of Malinda's before her father took her out of school in the late winter. Michaela and her friends heard the horrible news on Tuesday, May 7th. "We were just talking about how no child deserves to go through that and how it was honestly devastating that she had to live through that," said Michaela. To honor their late friend, Michaela and her friends thought they'd do something to remember Malinda, so they got t-shirts and signed them with blue markers. They chose blue because it was Malinda's favorite color. Meanwhile, Christy Moreland heard what Michaela and her friends were planning and shared it on Facebook. "We were just trying to rally the children together so that they didn't feel alone or sad, so that's what it started with," Christy Moreland said. Michaela, who was a close friend of Malinda's, said many students wore blue to remember Malinda. "From what I saw, almost everybody was wearing blue." Heather and Christy Moreland said the big turnout spoke to the feelings of the entire community of West Caln. "I just think it's really sweet how the community is so strong and we really spread the word and fast. There was only a few hours and hundreds of people were talking about it. Elsewhere, the adoptive parents of another child murder victim Scotty McMillan also expressed displeasure and outrage at Melinda's death. The parents were horrified to learn that yet another child had died from alleged physical abuse in the same Chester County town and under similar circumstances as their son almost 10 years ago. "It shocks me that this abuse can happen in our county and that schools don't pick it up," said the father of Scotty's older brother, who turned 16 in 2024. "I don't understand how this can happen. I don't want to blame the schools necessarily," added the boy's mother, "but if you can put the child in a cyber school where they are not supervised, that ought to send up red flags." News of Cindy Warren's criminal past also left the father of Scotty's brother outraged. Why on earth would the County Department of Children, Youth, and Families not have been more involved, and why would they even allow her to have her son again after she got out of jail, he asked. Scotty's brother's mother said that abusive behavior can in some cases be hidden by the perpetrators when they isolate the child from the outside, much like Melinda's father did by entering her in cyber school. Parents of the late Scotty's brother, who live in the Chester Springs area, said they had not known the death of 12-year-old Rendell Hoagland until a reporter questioned them about the case. They had a busy week celebrating the college graduation of one of their other children. But reading the account of Melinda's death brought back thoughts of what happened to Scotty and his brother in October and November 2014, when the children began to be physically abused by their mother and her new boyfriend. Scotty was 6 years old when the abuse began. He died on November 4th, 2014 of multiple blunt force trauma brought on by weeks of beating and torture he suffered at the hands of Gary Fellenbaum III and the 3-year-old boy's mother, Jillian Tate, at the trailer home Tate had brought the children to after meeting Fellenbaum. The murder shocked members of the Chester County community for its savage nature, as had Melinda's death. It drew heartbreaking headlines around the world with its accompanying photograph of the red-headed Scotty sitting on the lap of an Easter Bunny model. At the time, then Chester County District Attorney Tom Hogan called the case an American horror story. Beginning in October 2014, Fellenbaum began physically abusing both of Tate's sons. The abuse included punches and beatings, but also whipping with a crudely fashioned cat-o'-nine tails, and taping the boys to chairs or hanging them upside down by their feet. Fellenbaum's beating of Scott McMillan escalated to the point where the boy could not hold down his food. Angered, Fellenbaum punched him in the face so hard he fell out of his chair and later punched him in the stomach. The boy began vomiting and later passed out. He never woke up. Scotty's brother's adoptive parents, who expressed concern for the other child who was in the home with Hoagland and Warren, a younger boy who would likely have witnessed at least some of what was happening to Melinda. Chester County spokeswoman Rebecca Brain said officials at CYF were cooperating with the police investigation and could not comment on the matter because of confidentiality concerns. In her statement, Ms. Brain said, CYF staff are working closely with law enforcement to provide support and services as the death of Melinda Hoagland is investigated. We remind everyone in the community to call Childline should they suspect or witness child abuse or neglect. In his written arrest affidavit for Hoagland and Warren, Chester County Detective Bernard Martin, who led the investigation, wrote that Warren and Hoagland secluded the girl from mandatory reporters and others who may have offered her assistance in order to physically abuse and torment the child, and they used her seclusion to facilitate their crimes on an ongoing basis over a period of several months. Following the arrest of Rendell and Cindy, a preliminary hearing for both defendants was scheduled for 9 a.m. on July 8th before Magisterial District Judge J. Timothy Arndt III of Honeybrook. Melinda's dad, Rendell Hoagland, is represented by defense attorney Stuart Crichton of West Chester, while her stepmother and Rendell's girlfriend, Cindy Warren, will be represented by the Chester County Public Defender's Office. However, neither Crichton nor public defender Nathan Schenker would comment on the case. But whatever is the case, we hope that the little girl gets justice. This is not an easy case. There is assuredly a lot more work to do, but together we will get justice for Melinda. Our thoughts and our prayers are with her and her family. And that brings us to the end of today's heart-touching video. We would like to say thank you for staying with us to the end. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, let us hear your opinion on the matter in the comment section. See you next time.